Welcome back to Important Updates, global news without the noise. Subscribe to stay updated. I'm sure you've heard the news. January 29, 2026. A cold night in Washington, D.C. is shattered by urgent calls to the nation's top military leaders. An emergency meeting is called at the Pentagon. This is no drill. Inside the war room, tension is palpable as generals and intelligence chiefs gather. The reason? Confirmed movement of Chinese military personnel and equipment into Iran. This isn't a handful of advisors. Satellite and human intelligence show a significant deployment of PLA troops. For U.S. leaders, this is a game changer. China's direct military intervention in Iran adds a powerful, unpredictable player to an already volatile region. The questions are immediate. Why now? What does Beijing want? How should America respond? Maps of the Persian Gulf and Strait of Hormuz glow on screens as analysts brief on Chinese units and their capabilities. The presence of Chinese forces creates a strategic nightmare. Any U.S. action against Iran now risks direct confrontation with China. The stakes have never been higher. As dawn approaches, the Pentagon shifts from shock to action. The first priority: Project American Strength and Resolve. The discussion turns to naval assets, America's most visible tool of deterrence. A powerful naval presence can send a message without firing a shot. The decision: reposition one of the Navy's most formidable assets. The world will be watching. The Pentagon's response must be swift, clear, and unmistakable. The next move could shape the future of the Middle East. The intelligence is clear. China has deployed battalions of PLA soldiers, air defense systems, and logistical support to Iranian bases. This is a dramatic escalation. China is stepping onto the Middle Eastern stage militarily for the first time. For the U.S., this challenges decades of influence in the region. Iran, once isolated, now has a powerful patron willing to back it with force. The risk of a wider conflict, one that could draw in China, is suddenly real. The Pentagon must now plan for a two-front problem. The timing is critical. Iran faces internal unrest and global condemnation. China's move is a lifeline for Tehran and a direct message to Washington: Iran is under our protection. Advanced Chinese anti-aircraft systems now shield key Iranian sites, complicating any U.S. or allied strike. This is more than soldiers, it's a sophisticated defensive shield. Beijing is willing to take risks to protect its interests and expand its global footprint. Washington sees this as a direct effort to complicate U.S. military planning. The strategic calculus in the region has fundamentally changed. Every American move now carries new risks. The world's balance of power is shifting, fast. The Pentagon's first move: new orders for the USS Abraham Lincoln. The carrier, operating in the South China Sea, is told to head at full speed to the Middle East. Its mission pivots instantly from the Pacific to the Persian Gulf. Redeploying a carrier strike group is a powerful statement. America can project force anywhere, anytime. The Lincoln is the closest available carrier, fully supplied and ready for a long-term mission. Its journey is a logistical feat, crossing strategic choke points and entering U.S. Central Command's area. The message to Tehran and Beijing: the U.S. is taking this seriously. The Lincoln's arrival will alter the military balance in the region. An aircraft carrier brings an entire air wing, fighters, surveillance, helicopters, capable of sustained operations. It gives the president a range of options, from surveillance to full-scale air campaigns. This is more than repositioning, it's a forceful move in a high-stakes chess game. The world is watching every nautical mile. The U.S. Navy's global reach is on full display. The stakes are higher than ever. Inside Iran, crisis brews beneath the surface. Weeks of protests, sparked by economic hardship, have erupted into calls for political freedom. The government's response is swift and brutal. Security forces crack down with violence and mass arrests. Internet blackouts attempt to silence dissent and hide the crackdown from the world. Casualties mount, drawing condemnation from human rights groups and Western nations. China's military support arrives at a critical moment, bolstering the regime's confidence. The presence of Chinese troops signals to Iranians the government has powerful friends. For the regime, this is a lifeline. External backing allows more focus on suppressing unrest. The U.S. and allies voice support for protesters, but overt intervention risks delegitimizing the movement. The internal crisis is now deeply entangled with global power plays. The fate of the protesters hangs in the balance. Every move by Washington, Tehran, and Beijing is magnified by the turmoil on Iran's streets. The world watches, uncertain who will prevail. The stakes for Iran's future have never been higher. Chinese troops in Iran and the U.S. naval response send shockwaves across the Middle East. Neighboring countries brace for fallout, governments issue travel advisories, and U.S. personnel in Qatar are told to stay vigilant. The U.K. warns against travel to Israel, fearing regional escalation. Israel, always wary of Iran, prepares for possible retaliation. Western governments believe the risk of a broader war is rising. Airlines reroute flights, businesses activate contingency plans, and uncertainty spreads. The region's stability, vital to global energy, feels more fragile than ever. These warnings are not just formalities, they're signs of a region on edge. Iran restricts air traffic, further isolating itself and complicating evacuations. Foreign nationals scramble to leave, while the world struggles to see what's happening inside Iran. Every move is scrutinized for hidden meaning. The Middle East holds its breath, caught between the military posturing of three world powers. The risk of miscalculation is real. The world is watching, waiting for the next move. Before its sudden redeployment, the USS Abraham Lincoln was engaged in high-stakes exercises in the South China Sea. Operating near Scarborough Shoal, the carrier group challenged China's territorial claims and demonstrated U.S. commitment to freedom of navigation. The drills kept the crew at peak readiness. Jet engines roared, live fire exercises tested defenses, and sailors drilled for emergencies. These weren't just training, they were a message to Beijing and reassurance to allies. The Lincoln's abrupt departure marks a shift in U.S. priorities, pulling a key asset from the Pacific to the Middle East. When the crisis erupted, no other carrier was close enough to respond. The Lincoln was already at sea, fully equipped, and battle-ready. Redirecting it was faster than mobilizing a carrier from the U.S. This practical decision made the Lincoln the tip of America's spear in the new crisis. The Indo-Pacific loses a key asset, but the Middle East gains a powerful symbol of U.S. resolve. The move underscores the Navy's global flexibility. America's ability to shift focus quickly is on display. The Lincoln's journey is a testament to U.S. military reach. The world takes notice. As military assets move, American diplomacy sends mixed signals. The president condemns Iran and deploys the Lincoln, projecting strength. Yet, he also suggests Iran is easing its crackdown, contradicting reports and confusing allies. Senator Lindsey Graham meets with Reza Pahlavi, exiled son of Iran's last Shah, hinting at regime change possibilities. This signals that some in Washington are exploring alternatives to Iran's current regime. But the president expresses uncertainty about Pahlavi's role, revealing a lack of unified strategy. Is this ambiguity deliberate, or a sign of internal division? The world is left guessing America's true intentions. Meanwhile, Iranian state TV warns the U.S. not to interfere. China stands firm behind Tehran. The diplomatic web grows more tangled as the carrier sails toward the Gulf. Public statements and back-channel talks create a tense, unpredictable environment. Is the U.S. preparing for war, seeking diplomacy, or just managing a crisis? The answer remains unclear. Washington's anxiety centers on the new China-Iran alliance. Chinese troops on Iranian soil mark the birth of a strategic partnership the U.S. long feared. For China, Iran is a vital energy source and a key Belt and Road partner. For Iran, China is an economic and military lifeline against U.S. pressure. This alliance shatters Iran's isolation and undermines U.S. sanctions. Military threats now risk escalation with a nuclear-armed superpower. The strategic landscape is fundamentally altered. The U.S. must rethink its entire approach to the region. America now faces a two-front challenge: Iran's destabilizing actions and China's global ambitions. The crisis brings these concerns together in one dangerous flashpoint. The Pentagon's emergency meeting and the Lincoln's deployment are direct responses. U.S. military planners must now deter both Tehran and Beijing. Any action in the Gulf could have repercussions in the Pacific. The U.S. is forced into a delicate balancing act. The stakes for global power are higher than ever. As January 2026 ends, the world holds its breath. The USS Abraham Lincoln steams toward the Middle East, a symbol of American resolve facing an uncertain confrontation. Iran, emboldened by Chinese support, cracks down on dissent and defies the US. Beijing watches closely, gauging America's response to its boldest Middle East move yet. The region's future hangs in the balance. Will US force deter Iran and China, or provoke escalation? Diplomatic channels remain open, but mixed messages cloud the path to peace. Every maneuver is analyzed worldwide as allies and adversaries try to navigate the new landscape. The crisis could mark a turning point in global geopolitics or spark devastating conflict. The old rules no longer apply. Chinese troops have changed the game. All eyes are on Washington, Tehran, and Beijing. The next chapter will be written by their choices. The world waits to see what happens when the Lincoln arrives, and the crisis enters its next phase.